Let me ask you some questions. Have you ever been viewed as an overthinker? Have you ever been accused of taking things too personally? Have you ever received comments like, "Why are you so emotional?" If your answer is yes, then you might be just like me and my friend, Aline, a highly sensitive person. Highly sensitive people, or HSP for short, is a concept first proposed by Dr. Elaine Aron, an American psychologist. It is not a mental disorder, but just a type of personality, purely related to abilities of social processing, empathy, and reflection. HSPs are not a minority in society. In fact, about 20% of the global population are HSP. Interestingly, being highly sensitive does not mean you are definitely introverted. Approximately 30% of the HSP are actually extroverted people. And contrary to stereotypes, research by Dr. Aron in 1996 concluded that almost half of the HSP are males. Male HSPs tend to hide their emotions in public due to societal norms and expectations of being brave and competitive, and not normally allowed to be sensitive. It is important to note that research don't consider HSP to be superior or worse than any of the rest population, just that we are different from others in some special inner abilities. Due to societal norms, HSP is often seen as a character flaw, and that is exactly how I used to consider. I used to complain about my flaw, worry about others judging my sensitivity, and even reject close connection with my friends in fear of making them uncomfortable. But I've learned that seeing being highly sensitive as a flaw is inaccurate. The term highly sensitive doesn't mean a stereotypical negative description of our emotional management, and the word sensitive is not derogatory. It simply describes a group of people sharing similar personalities who share the same characteristics inside us. There are lots of clinical mental disorders that include intense emotional fluctuations in their standardized criteria, and some people wrongly believe that HSP is also one of the disorders. However, although we may express some emotional fluctuations sometimes, for the majority of cases, we are mentally healthy on the inside. However, as many HSPs argue on the internet, we experience lots of emotional and physical challenges. And that's basically why the general population has associated HSP with a negative image. Dr. Aron concludes some common capabilities of HSP as DOES. And these abilities used to bring me a lot of trouble in my daily life. D stands for depth of processing. HSP process and take into account every subtle aspect when receiving information. We may dwell on every little detail that makes us feel down or depressed and magnify them infinitely. And then we may end in our own inner pain endlessly. O means overstimulation. We can easily be influenced by every stimulus, including noises, smells, and lights in the physical environment, as well as working pressure and social pressure at psychological level. E indicates emotional reactivity and empathy. It is a superpower for us to take notice of minor emotional changes in others if they behave unnaturally. We can absorb others' emotions and have meticulous love and care for them in social interactions, even if this may affect our own mood and the separation is always extremely painful for us. S means sensitive to subtleness. We may sometimes overanalyze situations or conversations, which leads to self-doubt and a constant search for meaning in every detail. The need to make sense of everything may lead to unnecessary stress and anxiety about small things. Having listened to so many negative aspects of our inner personality, some of you may feel regretful for answering yes at the beginning of the talk for being one of the HSP population. Now, let's return to the 4 key characteristics of HSP in an alternative way. Depth of processing means HSP can have deeper thoughts and richer inner world. We can have vivid fantasies and dreams, which makes our life much more fulfilling and intriguing. Overstimulation sparks creativity in HSP, as we are constantly processing and integrating every subtlety we encounter. We can channel texture, color, sounds, or emotional dynamics into creative expression, such as in arts, writing, music, or problem solving. We may feel more attuned to moments of quiet reflection, intuition, and spiritual insight, which leads to profound personal growth and fulfillment. Our empathy allows us to form deep and meaningful relationships, as we are often excellent listeners and provide emotional support for others. Subtleness not only refers to the small changes in a social setting, but also stands for the fine bits of the beauty and aroma in the natural environment, such as the fragrance of flowers, which can be deeply moving and intriguing. The connection with nature can counteract the negative effects of overstimulation. However, the advantages of HSP can only be brought into full play only if our capabilities are properly utilized. So, how can we embrace ourselves both on the outside and on the inside, and find a way to live more comfortably? I have got some references from a book illustrated by a psychologist, Emilo. As being easily gotten emotional, we need to recognize that emotions are separate from us. They truly exist as a consequence of our hormones and responses to events of our brain, but they do not define us, limit us, or restrain us. They flow throughout our body as feedback for experiences, but we mustn't get caught up in them or let them deeply grow into your mind, especially those negative ones. We can guide ourselves to face our emotions with a new identity. For example, rather than say, "I'm sad," we can otherwise say, "I notice sadness is currently heading towards me." This seems to be a silly metaphor, but the self-talk can effectively change the way we think of our emotions. And as time goes on, we can ultimately be the master of our emotions. Also, always seek security only from the inside of yourself. This does not mean your friends and families are not a suitable listener to talk to, but they will definitely not be the most powerful backing compared to yourself. Once we are strong and confident enough in ourselves, we will know where our boundaries are, whom to invite or to reject to enter into a social circle, how to manage our energy, where to find love and support we deserve. We should always say no when needed and communicate our needs clearly to family, classmates, friends, or colleagues. Only being mentally independent can we build healthy and long-term relationship with others. Finally, Here's something I want to say to all HSP or people who have personalities that are unique from others. Everyone deserves all the love if we love ourselves inside out. Do you still remember my friend, Aline, that I brought up at the start of my speech? To be honest, she has lots of unrealistic fantasies and dreams. But it does not stop her from having a bunch of friends who truly love her, as she deeply loves herself. Sensitiveness is not flaw. Sensitiveness is our precious and adorable talent. That's all. Thank you.